Members of the Board of Visitors, students, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. 200 years after the university's founding, we affirm Mr. Jefferson's belief in the potential of education to advance the human condition. Today, we acknowledge that our students have engaged in rigorous learning and reasoned discourse in the classroom and beyond. With their talents and education, they are equipped to set things right in the world. This afternoon, we confirm academic achievement in awarding intermediate honors to 439 women and men who, during their first 2 years here, have distinguished themselves in the classroom. These students have committed themselves to the pursuit of scholarship in the manner envisioned by Thomas Jefferson when he opened the university in 1825. Today, we also present the university's highest award, the Thomas Jefferson Award, to two members of our community who in character, influence, and life work exemplify the principles on which this institution was founded. We are honored to have as our speaker, Lisa Russ Spar. Ms. Spar is the Horace W. Goldsmith NEH Distinguished Teaching Professor in English and Creative Writing. Ms. Spar joined the faculty at the university in 1993 and founded the undergraduate area program in poetry writing in 2000. She is devoted to her students, serving as a college advising fellow, as well as teaching a college advising seminar titled Myths of Adolescence and Literary Imagination. Ms. Spar also leads poetry writing workshops and teaches courses for undergraduate and graduate students in the Master of Fine Arts program. Ms. Spar has published 7 books of poetry and numerous chapters, anthologies, and essays. Her most recent book, Orexia, was published in February. She is the recipient of accolades and honors, including a John Simon Guggenheim Fellowship in 2009, and the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia's Outstanding Faculty Award in 2010. In 2015, she was one of 3 national finalists for the Robert Foster Cherry Award for Great Teaching. Ms. Spar earned Bachelor of Arts and Master of Fine Arts degrees from the University of Virginia. By coincidence, today's ceremony marks the 41st anniversary of her intermediate honors ceremony at the university in 1976. The University of Virginia is grateful for Lisa's dedication, and we are fortunate to have her as our speaker today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Lisa Russ Spar.
It's wonderful to be here. As Terry said, I was in 1976. I was on the lawn with my parents who had driven down from New Jersey to receive intermediate honors. And so this is a great honor for me. I want to thank President Sullivan and her ACE team, Provost Katsouleas, all the assembled deans, especially my dean, Ian Balcom, Rector Connor, and all the BOV members who are here, Rusty, the rector, I like to call him, faculty, friends, parents, and most of all, students, all of you who are receiving intermediate honors, and some of my own students, past and present, some of whom came from as far away as New York City to be here today. I thank you for the honor of selecting me to be your fall convocation speaker. What exactly is a convocation? The word is an oldish one, dating back to the 14th century. It refers to an assembly of persons and derives from the Latin convocare, to call together. So that's com, together, plus vocare, voice, which in turn is related to the word vox, or voice. So convocation is a calling together. I should add, by the way, that poetry classes are rarely more than 18 people. And so it's very rare that I get to talk to this many people. And anyway, that's going to be something I just wanted to get out in the open at the start. Anyway, the word convocation is also related to the word vocation, which early on had religious connotations, as in a summoning or a calling. But lately, as you all know all too well, vocation has to do with your occupation or your profession, and that's got to be on the minds of the students gathered here who are going to graduate next year, and also on the minds of your parents. What will you do with your education when you graduate? What will call you? What will you become? What will your vocation be? For me, vocation and voice are inextricably connected. Part of my job is to help students find their voice, what it is about what they write that has the feel of them about it. Voice in poetry is probably easier to hear than it is to talk about. So what I'm going to do now is just read you two starts of two different poems to make my point. Here's the first. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. Okay, that's the start of one poem. Here's another. Only the beaked-leaved boughs, dragonish, damask the tool-smooth, bleak light, black, ever so black on it, our tale, oh, our oracle, let life wane, I'll let life wind off her once skeined, veined variety. So you get the idea, right? The first poet is obviously, I think, well known to many of you, Robert Frost, very plain-spoken and direct. And the second is Gerard Manley Hopkins, the poet-priest, dense and baroque. The difference that you hear is what we call voice in poetry. As an aside, I'd like to say that there are a couple of websites that are devoted to something called Poet Voice. And that refers to the way poems are read aloud. And the big message of most of these sites is don't do it. Don't do poet voice. Poet voice refers to an affected or perhaps self-protected, there's a little fly up here, or falsely humble way of ending every line with the upturned inflection of a question. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. And I'd like to further demonstrate that briefly by reading some lines from the White Spot menu, which I have to say has graciously not fancied up its game much since I was a student here in the 70s. You can still get the iconic 3 Gs there, the Gus burger, the gravy, sausage, and grills with no quinoa, no seitan, or Satan, either, one hopes, at the White Spot. Here's a little poem I'd like to call 3 Sandwiches. Crisp bacon, sliced turkey, cheese, lettuce, and tomatoes piled high on toast. Corned beef with tangy sauerkraut, all served with lettuce, tomato, and mayo on pita bread, with choice of fries or onion rings. Okay. Anyway, don't do poet voice. Another reason that I've had voice on my mind is that a little over a month ago, I had a surgery for skin cancer. The cancer itself proved very treatable, but its location, which you can't really see right now because of my plumage, on my neck, right over my larynx, my voice box, and the requisite surgery, the cutting, the resultant scar, gave me pause. Was there a risk, I wondered, that my voice, so important to my life as a teacher and a poet, would be affected? I remembered how hard it was to be a parent or to teach with just a mild case of laryngitis. Who would I be if I lost my voice? The experience got me thinking not only about the metaphorical resonance of being a poet with a scar on her voice box, which my eldest daughter assured me looked badass, and another student said, it's sort of like having to say, I spoke anyway, without having to say anything. Well, all of this had me musing about voice. What is it? What does it mean to have one? Not to have one? What are the responsibilities of possessing a voice, real or metaphorical? The dictionary defines voice as the sounds or sound uttered through mouths of living creatures, especially human beings. With our voices, we cry, laugh, scream, converse, whisper, petition, pray, make music, argue, grieve, beg, apologize, protest, debate, woo, lie, make amends, curse, take oaths, make vows, and proclaim our rights and those of others. Voice can be a very private thing, or it can also be public, or it can be both. We have voice votes, voiceovers, vocal fry. There's Hollywood voice, think like Katharine Hepburn or Cary Grant. We have Voice of America. There are voice talents, the sounds behind our favorite animated figures, audiobooks, and radio shows. I don't know which you're binging on right now, but for me, I can't hear the voice of Pamela Adlon's character Sam on Better Things, which I'm not doing Stranger Things yet, but Better Things. I can't listen to that without hearing a little catch of Bobby from King of the Hill, because she was the voice of Bobby. The Voice is even its own television show on which various singers are voted, and again, there's that connection with The Voice, with vote. They're voted off the island. So as it turns out, the larynx, or the voice box, not only contributes to our development as human beings, but had a lot to do with the evolution of the very first human beings. Many experts believe that the development of a complex vocal apparatus and a brain capable of controlling it were absolutely crucial to our becoming human in the first place. So as pre-humans developed, the voice box was bigger and it was up here, and it gradually descended. And that made possible more articulate speech. The need for language, it seems, drove physiological evolution, conferring advantages to those capable of practicing complex language sounds. For me, there's something really interesting about this movement of the larynx from up here to down here, because even though the lower larynx is important to the production of complex speech, the lower larynx also makes, and I thought this was so interesting, it makes human beings more susceptible to choking and being choked than any other species on the planet. Because the benefits of communication appear to be more valuable than the costs and dangers of choking, we can assume that this lower larynx position played a key role in the development of the fully human person. Okay, again, what's exciting to me is the suggestion that linguistic advantages outweigh the physiological advantages, just a little ply. And if the emergence of language is as vital to our evolutionary history and our future, as most experts believe, it's possible to say, and to not exaggerate in saying, that the descent of the larynx signaled the ascent of humankind. Communication over choking, voice over violence. So what I want to do now before I conclude my remarks is to think about what and how and why we have and might continue to use our voices here at the University of Virginia and beyond. One thing that I did with my voice quite publicly in my first year at UVA, on the one payphone at the end of the hallway, on the third floor of Dabney Dormitory, right outside the women's bathroom, was conduct many tearful phone calls over a period of months, and then finally break up with my high school boyfriend, who was a student at Rutgers. We had no email, we had no Skype, no cell phones, so we didn't even have phones in our rooms, private landlines. So everything that I had to say in that conversation, all of that painful parting, was shared, albeit one-sidedly with my patient, sympathetic, helplessly eavesdropping hallmates. And later I learned that one of them actually could hear it was starting to happen, and she was in the bathroom, and she kindly stayed in the bathroom the entire time. And it was a rather long phone call. But more seriously, in live, face-to-face encounters in the classroom, I began to learn, as you have, not only to listen to others whose opinions and life experiences differed, often radically from my own, but also to begin to find my voice, to shape and express original responses to the ideas of my cohort, to argue with them, to concede, to change my mind, to have my mind opened, and also to be wrong, because whenever we're wrong, we're on the precipice or the brink of a new discovery. In my courses, in other people's voices, through deep reading in the sentences of those whom William Wordsworth called the noble living and the noble dead, I began to deliciously excavate myself. This kind of voice-to-voice engagement has always been crucial to learning. After all, it's at the heart of the Socratic method. But in our high-velocity moment, in which it is increasingly possible to post, tweet, troll, flame, and shame an opinion without accountability or facts, or even using one's real name or a name at all, in the faceless realm of cyber ether, what is provided in universities like ours, profoundly civil, profoundly daring, is a crucible, a forum for accountable interaction, an invaluable opportunity to begin to express and know our personhood and to make ourselves as human beings understood and real to one another. On a recent afternoon in October, I decided I would pay special attention to everything I heard as I crossed the lawn on my way to the corner for a coffee. From the basement practice rooms of New Cabell, I heard a contralto practicing scales. Two students on the steps of Cock Hall argued about the answers on their economics midterm. At the tabling corner, architecture students were conversing about a fascinating white spider-like construction being put up as part of the bicentennial opening festivities. And I go by the lawn every day, and it seems to move. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yourselves yet, but it's still there, and it seems to kind of crawl around. Pretty exciting. And this is interesting. I overheard a young man telling with great authority a small group of tourists who were peering into a lawn room that lawnies don't actually live in those rooms, but rather just use them to party in, while mostly sleeping in apartments elsewhere that actually have bathrooms in them. And I have no idea who this guy was, but he was speaking with great authority, and everybody was listening very intently. A small group of preschoolers, sort of roped together, the way we sometimes do with little children so they don't get lost, came by gleefully shouting, "No, no, no, no." And here I want to interject something that I overheard in a sermon, that one of the first words that little children learn to vocalize besides mama and dada is no. And if we can learn to say what it is we don't want, my minister said, we're better able to voice a yes that is meaningful, a yes that we can own. And then in addition to the voices that I heard, I saw signage everywhere that represented voices and spoke on paper, often for those who might feel that they don't have a voice or that their voices are not heard. No home for hate here. Love is love. Dreamers welcome. Happy Columbus Strikeout Indigenous Peoples Day. Pancakes for Parkinson's. So, intermediate honors students, your generation is among the last to be born in the 20th century. You're often accused of being self-involved, narcissistic, and wired to the point of solipsistic cocooning, capable of tapping out only fleet, abbreviated thoughts on tiny screens. And some of you may know that 2 years ago, the Oxford Dictionary's word of the year wasn't even a word, but it was an emoji, the one that laughs and cries at the same time. And then just yesterday on the BBC NewsHour, I learned that the Collins Dictionary word of this year is fake news. Now, I don't know, that's interesting, but to me, that sounds like two words, but in any case, I don't know. But anyway, my experience of you, though, and your cohort, as I've come to know you in my teaching and from my life on grounds and as a citizen of Charlottesville, is very much otherwise. Vocal, impassioned, risk-taking, you speak, you write, you talk. Importantly, you also walk your talk. Vocalization, then, using our voices, can prompt greater fluidity between knowledge boundaries and social borders. But as we know from aspects of all of our lives, and perhaps most especially and sharply here in Charlottesville by events on August 11th and 12th, 2017, the voice is connected not only to experiences of intimacy, bonding, confirmation, healthy debate, and consolation. It can also relate to experiences of disruption, fear, polarization, oversimplification, and threat. This is why I believe we must pay and pay and pay and pay again attention to our voices and how we use them. There are 500,000 words in English, and 1 million if you count highly specialized terms specific to certain fields and disciplines. How are we using those words, even the smallest of them? He, she, they. Last year, Science Magazine reported that the average educated 20-year-old knows about 42,000 English words. That's less than 1/10 of those at our disposal. I think that we have to attend to what comes out of our mouths and find precise, evocative ways of articulating the complicated forces that roil us and our times. Are we oversimplifying? Are we generalizing, abstracting, offending? Is there a more nuanced, particular way to say what we need to say? So our voices put us in a generative space of sharing, of the relayed, the related, the relational. They engage us in a place of self and other, self and self, and the self and word. And I just can't think of anything that's more important than that. Knowing that I would be delivering this talk, which I promise is just about to end, I invited some of my former and current Poetry UVA students to complete a sentence beginning with my voice. And here's a cento, which is a poem created from a lot of different lines of poetry, a lot of different voices. So this poem is written by UVA students. With my voice, I am heard. I summon a silence. With my voice buried in the crook of its wing, blood hums the orange, gold dark. With my voice steeped in talcum magnolias, can I speak the red-black of my history? With my voice, I will not stay. I will choke out foreign thanks. I will speak my mind, stand up for others, know myself and my power. With my voice, I escape my body. With my body, I escape my voice. With my voice, I enter the last silences as the season siphons air, shines wet and rare as coal. With my voice, I repeat your name until it loses and makes all meaning, lining the way with daisies, conducting infinite blossom. With my voice, I resurrect. With my voice in chains, I am ablaze. With my voice, thunder. With my voice, rain. With my voice, I gather other voices, yours and yours and yours. I affirm and undermine myself. I shape noise with my wish to witness. With my voice, I encourage, coax, and calm. With my voice, I wake up. I pray with my ears. In closing, then, I'd just like to suggest to all of you receiving intermediate honors, whether you become an accountant, a healthcare worker, a religious leader, an activist, a librarian, a chef, a doula, a politician, a diplomat, a lawyer, an art historian, a landscaper, a teacher, a spy, a coder, a designer of costumes or websites or roller coasters, a superhero, a journalist, a chemist, a nuclear engineer, a painter, a lily of the field, don't get worried parents, but that's one option, or even, don't panic even further, a novelist or poet. I'd like to suggest that your real vocation, whatever your discipline, your vocation is your calling, it's your voice. Your real vocation is your human voice. In all the myriad ways in which you have and will continue to use it, is your calling. It is your sounded self. Something that we're privileged to remember today, especially through this calling together afforded by the celebration of Fall Convocation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Spar. And now, the Executive Vice President and Provost of the University.
What a marvelous address, Professor Spar. I promise to try not to use my poet voice. Okay, I just don't do it. Before President Sullivan awards intermediate honors, I would like to take a moment to recognize those faculty members who received teaching awards this year. All of the teaching award recipients are listed in the back of your program. I will ask these award recipients to stand and remain standing as I read their names. With us this afternoon are the recipients of the All University Teaching Award. They are Timothy E. Allen, Dorothy J. Bach, Eileen Y. Chu, Robert M. Cox, Leslie C. Kendrick. Let's give them all a big round of applause. The winner of the Alumni Association Distinguished Professor Award is Cassandra L. Frazier. The recipients of the Corey Family Teaching Awards are Kateri H. Dubé and China R. Schertz. Recipient of the Excellence in Education Abroad Award, Xin Liang. We commend all of you. Thank you for your many contributions to the university.
Presentation of intermediate honors, the President of the University.
It is a pleasure for me, on behalf of the faculty, to confer intermediate honors on the undergraduate students who have attained this distinction during their first 2 years at the university. Most academic awards are given to undergraduates at the end of their study here. Intermediate honors, however, are awarded at the beginning of the third undergraduate year to students who are in the top 20% of their class while carrying a full course load during their first 4 semesters at the university. This is a recognition of significant academic achievement, and I, along with the faculty, share their parents' pride in what these students have accomplished. I will now ask the Grand Marshal to introduce the deans or representatives of the School of Architecture, the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, the Curry School of Education, the School of Engineering and Applied Science, and the School of Nursing, who will present the candidates for the award of intermediate honors.
The Associate Professor and Department Chair of the School of Architecture.
The candidates for intermediate honors in the School of Architecture will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present for the award of intermediate honors these candidates from the School of Architecture who are in the top 20% of those students who have remained in good academic standing and completed at least 60 credits during their first 2 years at the university.
The award of intermediate honors is the highest honor that an undergraduate can earn during the first 2 years at the university. In officially conferring this distinction upon you, I offer congratulations for your outstanding academic achievement in the School of Architecture, and I challenge you to deepen your appreciation for the best elements of the past, even as you learn to design and sustain the human environment of the future. Please be seated.
The Dean of the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences.
The candidates for intermediate honors in the College of Arts and Sciences will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present for the award of intermediate honors these candidates from the College of Arts and Sciences, who are in the top 20% of those students who have remained in good academic standing and completed at least 60 credits during their first 2 years at the university.
The award of intermediate honors is the highest honor that an undergraduate can earn during the first 2 years at the university. In conferring this honor upon you, I offer congratulations on your outstanding academic achievement in the College of Arts and Sciences, and I challenge you to continue to strive for excellence in the study of the arts and sciences that undergird all meaningful learning. Please be seated.
The Dean of the Curry School of Education.
The candidates for intermediate honors in the Curry School of Education will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present for the award of intermediate honors these candidates from the Curry School of Education who are in the top 20% of those students who have remained in good academic standing and completed at least 60 credits during their first 2 years at the university.
The award of intermediate honors is the highest honor that an undergraduate can earn during the first 2 years at the university. In officially conferring this distinction upon you, I offer congratulations on your outstanding academic achievement in the Curry School of Education, and I challenge you to continue developing the knowledge and skills that will enable you to enrich the lives of those you will serve in your professions. Please be seated.
The Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science.
Candidates for intermediate honors in the School of Engineering, please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present for the award of intermediate honors these candidates from the School of Engineering who are in the top 20% of those students who have remained in good academic standing and completed at least 60 credits during their first 2 years at the university.
The award of intermediate honors is the highest honor that an undergraduate can earn during the first 2 years at the university. In officially conferring this distinction upon you, I offer congratulations for your outstanding academic achievement in the School of Engineering and Applied Science, and I challenge you to continue building the knowledge that transforms the theoretical to the practical and uses the practical for the benefit of humankind. Please be seated.
The Dean of the School of Nursing.
The candidates for intermediate honors in the School of Nursing will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, I have the honor to present for the award of intermediate honors these candidates from the School of Nursing who are in the top 20% of those students who have remained in good academic standing and completed at least 60 credits during their first 2 years at the university.
The award of intermediate honors is the highest honor that an undergraduate can earn during the first 2 years at the university. In officially conferring this distinction upon you, I offer congratulations on your outstanding academic achievement in the School of Nursing, and I challenge you to expand and deepen your knowledge of the healing arts and sciences. Please be seated. The Thomas Jefferson Award is the most prestigious honor the university presents to faculty members, and the list of recipients includes some of the university's most distinguished teachers and scholars. This year we are presenting 2 Thomas Jefferson Awards. The original award was established in 1955 through the generosity of the Robert Earl McConnell Foundation and is intended to recognize excellence in service. In 2009, the Alumni Board of Trustees of the University of Virginia Endowment Fund established a second award to recognize excellence in scholarship. The recipients are selected by a committee that reports to the provost. It is my privilege to announce that the Thomas Jefferson Award Committee has selected John C. Jeffries, Jr., the David and Mary Harrison Distinguished Professor of Law, to receive the Thomas Jefferson Award, recognizing excellence in scholarship. Let me read the citation. Mr. Rector, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in each generation since the university was founded, there have been a handful of individuals whose achievements and contributions to the university have been so extraordinary that they became a lasting part of the university's history. In our generation, John Jeffries is one of those individuals. Mr. Jeffries came to the university as a student at the law school 47 years ago. From the beginning, he was recognized for his brilliance and leadership. He was editor-in-chief of the Virginia Law Review and graduated first in his class. Except for military service and a year as law clerk to Justice Lewis Powell of the Supreme Court of the United States, he has been a member of the law school faculty ever since. He has made major scholarly contributions in several different fields. One of his subjects has been constitutional litigation. For many years, legal scholars paid little attention to how constitutional rights are actually enforced. Mr. Jeffries' work changed all this. In a series of articles, he remade the field. He showed, counterintuitively, that limiting the personal monetary liability of government officials made the courts more willing to announce new constitutional rights. This striking insight has fundamentally changed thinking about how constitutional rights evolve. Mr. Jeffries has also made major contributions to thinking about criminal law. His writing about the burden of proof in criminal cases has been called a magisterial study of a technical problem with deep social ramifications. He showed that the burden of proof issue in criminal cases masks a more fundamental problem. What substantive questions must be answered in criminal trials before criminal punishment may be constitutionally imposed? The Supreme Court itself has repeatedly cited his work in its decisions about this issue. A third example of Mr. Jeffries' scholarly range is his important biography of Supreme Court Justice Lewis Powell. The book offers a nuanced and insightful account of the many significant events in which Powell was involved, including the politics of mid-20th century Richmond, the desegregation of the American South, and the Supreme Court's struggle with significant social issues such as affirmative action, abortion, and gay and lesbian rights. A New York Times reviewer described the book as one of the finest judicial biographies ever written. For his many contributions, Mr. Jeffries has been honored, among other things, by election to membership in the American Law Institute and to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He holds a David and Mary Harrison Distinguished Professorship, the most distinguished chair that the law school awards. Mr. Jeffries is also a legendary teacher. The current dean of the Stanford Law School, a former student, wrote about his course on federal courts. I literally sat on the edge of my seat because I did not want to miss a single one of his elegantly delivered words. I had no better teacher in all my time at Yale University or the UVA Law School. And James Ryan, another former student and the president-elect of the university, said of Mr. Jeffries, "I had the good fortune of taking a class with him, and he remains the finest classroom teacher I have ever seen." For his remarkable teaching in 1995, Mr. Jeffries received what is now called the All-University Teaching Award. Finally, Mr. Jeffries' long involvement in the governance of the university is an indivisible part of his legacy. He served as Dean of the Law School for 7 years. He has been a member of 2 UVA presidential search committees and search committees for the deans of the schools of Architecture, Arts and Sciences, and Law. He currently chairs the Strategic Investment Evaluation Committee, which makes recommendations to the Board of Visitors on funding of projects that contribute to innovation and effectiveness at the university. On top of all this, he represented the university as lead counsel in the case of Rosenberger versus Rector and Visitors of the University of Virginia, arguing the case for the university in the Supreme Court of the United States. All who have worked with him recognize the wisdom and rectitude that he has brought to these responsibilities. In short, for this university, John Jeffries has been a man for all seasons. It gives me great pleasure to present the Thomas Jefferson Award for Excellence in Scholarship to John Calvin Jeffries, Jr., a favorite son of the law school and of the university, whose contributions to the law and to his students and whose dedication to the university exemplify the ideals for which the university was founded. And at this time, I ask Mr. Jeffries to come forward to receive the award. It is now my privilege to announce that the Thomas Jefferson Award Committee has selected Dr. Karen S. Rubin, Professor of Pediatrics and Director of UVA's Karen S. Rubin Center for Telehealth, to receive the Thomas Jefferson Award, recognizing excellence in service. Let me read the citation. Mr. Rector, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as a young pediatric cardiologist, Dr. Karen Rubin sometimes traveled the back roads of Virginia, seeing patients at clinics served by the University of Virginia Health System. She quickly learned that the farther from a major medical center patients lived, the higher the risk to the patient's health, because first-class medical care was not available to them. Back then, for at least some patients, their distance from health care could affect their destiny. In the course of that work, Dr. Rubin had an insight that her own efforts have eventually made self-evident, that advances in telecommunications could give healthcare providers the power to bridge the distance between the patient and the care they need. Her pioneering vision was to transport physicians electronically from the UVA health system to remote places so that they could conduct virtual, real-time examinations and consultations. Driven by this vision and by her deep commitment to making healthcare available to all, Dr. Rubin and her colleague Eugene Sullivan founded the University of Virginia Center for Telehealth. Harnessing the technology of telecommunication, the center is now a world leader in enabling the delivery of critical medical services to patients who are far from the place where the medical expertise they need is located. The center's network now extends not only to the far reaches of rural Virginia, but also around the globe. Today, regardless of their location, patients benefit from medical care provided by UVA physicians representing over 60 subspecialties. The center makes possible the provision of care in real time for stroke patients in the back of an ambulance. It extends world-class cancer care to patients in the small towns of Appalachia. It remotely monitors patients in their homes to reduce the need for hospital readmission. And it helps women with high-risk pregnancies deliver healthy babies. The center's high-risk obstetrics clinic has reduced preterm births among rural women by 25%. All this occurs because Dr. Karen Rubin was tireless in pursuing and then implementing her vision. In 2010, Dr. Rubin's efforts led to the enactment of a sweeping telemedicine reimbursement law by the Commonwealth of Virginia, leading to her forging of partnerships across Virginia with the Department of Health, hospitals, community health centers, and health associations. Internationally, Dr. Rubin has advanced university telemedicine programs on 4 continents. She was the original American partner and collaborator with the Swinfen Trust, a leading international telemedicine charitable organization. Together, they established the first protocols for telemedicine based in major medical centers that now serve practitioners and patients in the third world. Dr. Karen Rubin is the complete physician. She treats illness, she educates patients, and she promotes new forms of health care. She is a recognized leader, not only in her work as director of the Center for Telehealth, but also as a pediatric cardiologist, professor of pediatrics, and senior associate dean for continuing medical education. In addition to her academic publications, Dr. Rubin is editor of a newly published textbook on telehealth. She is a past president of the American Telemedicine Association, the world's largest medical organization focusing exclusively on telemedicine. She is a board member of the National Center for Telehealth and eHealth Law. She is board chair of the Virginia Telehealth Network, and she regularly testifies on telehealth before the U.S. Congress and the Virginia Legislature. She is a fellow of the American College of Cardiology and of the American Academy of Pediatrics. At UVA, she has received the Elizabeth Zintel Leadership Award and the Raven Society Award. And in a tangible testament to her leadership, in 2015, the Center for Telehealth was renamed the Karen S Rubin Center for Telehealth in her honor. It gives me great pleasure to present the Thomas Jefferson Award for Excellence in Service to Karen S Rubin, who has worked for 40 years in the grand tradition of medicine, using science and technology to help preserve life itself by ensuring that in healthcare, distance no longer determines destiny. At this time, I ask Dr. Rubin to come forward to receive the award.
I would like to just extend my humblest gratitude to President Sullivan, to all of my colleagues. This award really recognizes the work of my team. We have done this together, and the work of countless practitioners at the health system and countless practitioners really around the Commonwealth and around the world. So thank you. I'm honored, privileged teary and very, very grateful. Thank you.
I have some announcements about activities that are planned for today and for the remainder of the family weekend. Intermediate honors recipients may pick up their certificates immediately after this ceremony in the entry foyer. At 4 o'clock today, the class of 2019 third year ceremony will take place here in the John Paul Jones Arena. This year's keynote speaker is Young Kim. Mr. Kim received his Bachelor of Arts degree from UVA in 2014. He is co-founder of the local restaurant, Roots Natural Kitchen on the corner. If you're not familiar with Roots, it's easy to spot. It's the restaurant with a line stretching halfway down the block all day long. Today and tomorrow, many events, open houses, and receptions will take place on the grounds. Please refer to the Family Weekend event schedule for times and locations for all events this weekend. We added some events after printing the schedule, so the most up-to-date schedule is on the Family Weekend website, which can be found at www.virginia.edu/Family Weekend, no space between family and weekend. Culture Fest 2017 takes place tomorrow from 10:30 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. Culture Fest is a student-run festival featuring an international bazaar of performances, foods, and arts and crafts. Performances will take place in the amphitheater. And finally, we have a football game tomorrow against Georgia Tech at 3 o'clock. Please come out and help us cheer on the Hoos. Students, faculty, and staff have worked for several months to plan this weekend's events, and we hope you will participate in as many activities as you can. It means a great deal to us to have you here at the university. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the weekend.